The day I found out, I was watering the roses in the front yard. The same roses I planted the year we moved in. The year he told me this house would be ours forever. He gave it away. Our home. To a woman I'd never met. What he didn't know, what nobody knew, was that this house was worth $2.3 million. And it was never his to give. My name is Grace. And for 12 years, I built a life around that house. I painted every room. I fixed the leak in the basement with YouTube tutorials and a wrench I bought at a yard sale. When Daniel lost his job in 2016, I picked up a second shift at the hospital so we wouldn't miss a mortgage payment. He never thanked me for that. Not once. But I didn't do it for the thank you. I did it because that house, that was my daughter's home. That was our life. What Daniel didn't know was that my grandmother left me that house in her will. The mortgage was in my name. The deed was in my name. Everything was in my name. He just assumed it was ours. And I never corrected him. Because I trusted him. That was my mistake. It started with the late nights. Then the business trips that didn't add up. Then one Sunday morning, while he was in the shower, his other phone buzzed on the nightstand. I picked it up. And I read everything. Her name was Kelsey. 26. She worked at his office. And based on those messages, this had been going on for over a year. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the message that said, and I will never forget this, quote, "Don't worry, babe. I'm putting the house in your name. She won't fight it. She's too tired to fight anything." 2 days later, a real estate agent showed up at our door with transfer paperwork. Daniel told me he was refinancing. He looked me in the eye and lied. But here's the thing about a house that's in your name. Nobody can transfer it without your signature. And I never signed a thing. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I called a lawyer. Her name was Patricia Owens. Former prosecutor. She took one look at the messages, the forged paperwork Daniel had tried to file, and she smiled. She said, "Your husband just committed fraud." And he did it in writing. That week, I had the house appraised. I hadn't checked the value in years. When I bought it from my grandmother's estate in 2011, I paid $85,000 for it. A small house in a quiet neighborhood. But the neighborhood changed. Tech companies moved in. New developments went up on every block. The appraisal came back at $2.3 million. Daniel had been trying to give away a $2.3 million house, my house, to a woman he'd been sleeping with for 14 months. And he had no idea what it was worth. Because he never paid attention. Not to the house. Not to me. Not to anything that actually mattered. I changed the locks on a Tuesday. Daniel came home at 11 p.m., late again, and his key didn't work. He called me 17 times. I let it ring. The next morning, he found his clothes in boxes on the porch. And a letter from my attorney. The letter explained 3 things. 1. The house was legally mine and always had been. 2. His attempt to forge a transfer constituted fraud. And 3. I was filing for divorce. He tried to fight it. Of course he did. But in court, his own text messages were read out loud. Every single one. Including the one where he called me too tired to fight. The judge looked at him over her glasses and said, "Sir, it appears the only person too tired to think clearly here was you." He got nothing. No house. No equity. Nothing. Kelsey left him 3 weeks later. Turns out she was only interested when he had a house to offer. I still live in that house. My daughter still sleeps in the room I painted for her before she was born. The roses I planted that first year, they're still blooming. Sometimes I think about what he said. That I was too tired to fight. And I smile. Because I didn't fight. I didn't have to. I just knew what was mine. If this story moved you, hit subscribe. I share stories like this every week. Stories of people who were underestimated, overlooked, and counted out. And came out on top. Drop a comment and tell me, what would you have done? Would you have confronted him? Or would you have played it the way Grace did? I'll see you in the next one.